Abstracts and attachments. These are basically just documents and notes that go into the process here, and they're just grouped differently for proposals than they might be for awards or budgets or protocols, because they have some usage that's really important. So you can see these have some standard, and again, these were determined out of the template that was put in. So we got some PHS information here. These are forms that would be related to an NSF proposal. So they're real forms that you're going to put this type in here, and it's going to know where to put that information when it actually goes to submit. You have the ability to put in the status of this. It'll say who was uploaded by and when. Comments, the file name. You can go out and grab a file off your desktop, off the network, wherever you need to grab that file. That is your career resource sharing plan. You would do that. You can put information about who is the contact and their information in case somebody wants to know, hey, okay, I know that Bob uploaded this document yesterday, but Bob doesn't know anything about this document, so because he just uploaded it. Maybe you put the information about the person who actually worked on the document here, so if somebody has a question about it, they can ask them. You got your personnel attachments. So these things like, you're going to put in like a CV, right? So bio sketch, they call it. Because you may want to have multiple bio sketches for folks. You might have one for NSF, one for NIH, one for somebody else. Not that you're not telling the truth, but they obviously are interested in different pieces of somebody's background. So you might word it a little different, like you would if you're doing a job application. So again, you can go out and grab that file and upload it. It tracks when it was uploaded and who it was uploaded by. And you can add as many of these, any of these in this tab. So you see this add button here and here. It allows you to put in multiples of each. The section for internal attachments. The important word here is internal. That means that this information, whatever you upload here, is not going anywhere else. So it's not going to the sponsor. It's just kept within your system. And again, standard functionality, what kind of attachment is it? And you can change these drop-downs again to whatever you want them to say and put those documents in right there. This place for your abstracts. Some standard abstracts are in here. So, I've got an equipment abstract, for example, and you put the information. This because it's an abstract and it's being populated into the information for the submission. This isn't a document. This is just text. So that text will be populated directly in. Here's a section just for notes. So as you're going through the process, maybe you're adding a note saying, hey, I've got a question about this. This doesn't look right. Somebody else will see that as they're going through the proposal, as it's going through the workflow. They'll have that information available for them. All right, here's a section for questions. This functionality has gotten a lot more powerful in the IRB module, and the plan is to, in one of their IRB catch-up sequences, I believe, again, it's either July or November, they're going to add the questionnaire functionality to proposals. The difference in the IRB one and here is that the IRB is actually smart enough to do branching. So if you answer a question yes, and that should add questions or remove stuff, it does that for you. So you don't have to answer 100 questions. You may be able to get to that the hierarchy by answering like 7. But there's 100 possible questions depending who it is. This is, again, a fully editable section. So they've got this set up so that they put in a grants.gov specific question answer. So somebody put in a test question here. And then we've got some of the more grants.gov specific. You actually need to answer these questions in order for a proposal to be submitted. It won't go through and submit if you haven't answered all of these. But again, it would be nice if this was a little bit smarter, because as you can see at the very top, it says, is this an NSF beginner investigator? Is this an NIH new investigator? Geez, doesn't that seem like it's the same answer? Really just dependent on the sponsor, not dependent on my answer. My answer is yes, they're new. And then we would highlight appropriately they're an NSF beginning investigator or they're an NIH new investigator. So that's some of what we have to look forward to in the coming releases. But there's some pretty standard questions, that you would normally have to answer in any submission, and they're already in the system for you. We're going to skip by budget versions for just a second, because we're going to do that section separately. So let's go to permissions. Since I created this proposal, I'm considered the aggregator. So you can see right down here it says quick start, and there's theoretically my full name, what unit I'm in, what university, what the name of the unit is, and I'm the aggregator. What that means is that I have control of what's going on with this proposal. I can add people's permissions to it. I can put documents on it. I can create a budget. I can do all that work related to this. But I may want to add somebody in as a narrative writer or a budget creator, or or give somebody the permission to view that would be outside of their normal rights. So I'm actually able to explicitly identify people who have rights to this proposal from within here. And that can be really useful. Depending on how you set up your workflow and your permissions, you may have a very restrictive setup so that maybe only people within a certain, the home department, for example, can see the proposal. And that's great if that's what you want, but you may be doing some work with somebody outside the department, and because they're not part of that department, they don't have access to it. This is the way that you would allow them access to it. All right, so most of the large document types like the protocols, the budget, the awards, and proposal all have this. They'll have a tab called, this one called proposal actions, the other one is called budget actions. This is where things actually happen related to workflow and data validation, some of the other key printing, some of the other kind of bigger functionality related to the document. This is where I said you can turn on validation. If we turn on validation, we're going to see a bunch of errors here, which is not a bad thing. So in that section now, it tells me I've got validation errors. So the validation errors are biggies. They are not. They're the ones that are actually going to stop a process. Below that, you'll see warnings, and those are ones that are just kind of like, well, this is for your information. It's not going to stop it from being submitted, but you might want to know about it. And then you've got some grants.gov errors. The nice thing about this is it tells you what the problem really is. So no investigators the investigators are not all certified. Please certify Inez Chu. That's pretty great. It tells me exactly what the problem is. Additionally, I love this. I got a button here that says Fix. I click on Fix. It brings me to Inez Chu. So there's Inez. It brings me to the section. It tells me validation errors found in this section. Investigator not certified. Please certify Inez Chu again. So here we go. Can you certify the information is correct? There's potentially no conflict of interest. Have you logging? I said no. It's currently debarred. And I hit save. And then there's another cool feature about this because I've turned on the validation. It doesn't bring me back to Inez Chu and save it. It actually brings me back to the validation window again and shows me other errors. So I can just roll through these errors and make the changes that are necessary. I'll turn this off because we're not actually going to submit this proposal because to get some of the stuff in place in order to submit it quickly enough to do the webinar, I have to put so little information in it that it's really doesn't have any value for that part of the presentation. Basically, and if I do it the other way around, then we can't submit because a more complicated proposal requires all the data to be validated and be accurate. You have the ability to create a hierarchy here, so that means you can link child proposals to another proposal. You can identify what type of link is it. Is it a sub-project or a sub-budget? So you could actually link this as many times as you want to, as far down as you want to, depending on how your process is and how you want to track things. It has the ability here to print. So you can print the grants.gov forms. You can print the sponsor forms. These are pulled in automatically as part of a package related to the sponsor. So you're getting some standard forms in here, and then the ability to print your reports. So there's your current and pending reports. So that information will pull from all the data in the system, current and pending for Inez Chu, for example. So if she's on multiple proposals, you'll get that information pulled through here. This is kind of misleading. It says print. It doesn't really print. What it does is it creates a PDF file. If you select all of these, it'll actually create one PDF file with all these documents in them in one place. If you want individual files for each one, you have to print them individually. It's a pretty powerful tool. Obviously, if we were to do it right now, the information would be pretty empty. But what it does is it pulls the data from your proposal and populates it into the forms. This is that section where I said we want to copy to a new document. So if you had created this as a template, you could create that as a new document. You can then change the lead unit after you've created it. You can decide whether or not you want to copy the budget, how many versions of it do you want to copy, do you want to carry the attachments through as well, It's entirely up to you, what you want to move along with this process. You may just want to move the first year of the budget, for example, for whatever reason. So it's able to do that. Here's where you're able to actually change the unit. You get in the route log information. So this is where it kind of tracks what's going on with the document, what's gone on with the document, what's going to go on with the document. So this document was created by Jeff McGregor. Last route status is saved currently. It's been initiated. These are the actions taken so far. So again, Jeff McGregor saved this, and here's the section where it's pending action requests. So right now, it requires a single approval. And I can see the future actions listed here. So now it also says that a few people, it's pending approval by one of these two people, by Inez, because she's the PI on this, and by these people as well as OSP approver. So it shows this person in here twice. So basically, you're saying this proposal will go through, and S2 has to approve it, and an OSP approver has to approve it at this point in the workflow. There may be another step going on after that, but you're seeing what are the future action requests that are in there right now. This is the section where you can add in ad hoc recipients. And this is useful if you want to send something to somebody and just say, I want them to know about it. So I can put them on an FYI, so they'll get an FYI saying, hey, there's a proposal out here. Do you want to take a look at it? I can make them an acknowledger, which just basically means it's an FYI with them saying, yeah, I got it. So they may not be doing anything with it, but it's kind of a little more than a CC. It's kind of, okay, it went across my desk, and I know it went across my desk. And then obviously there's the additional one where you can make them an approver. So they would now actually be required to approve this document for it to move to the next status of the workflow. You do have the ability to take what's available out of the box and modify it significantly. So there's also a Medusa tab. That's kind of a funny name. They're into funny names both at Coeus and Kuali. Medusa is actually a place, I'm not going to show it to you because there's not really anything in it. It just kind of says if this was, so there's your proposal development document. If you had created an institutional proposal from that, the institutional proposal would show. If you tie it to an award, the award would show up in here. If you ended up tying protocols to it, those would show here. It's basically more of a navigation tab than anything. It allows you to move between the related pieces of this project easily within the system.